Hey everybody, Zach here, and welcome to the 38th lesson of this RTS tutorial series. In this video, we will tie construction time to the number of units in the building, so that if there are 0 units in the building, construction will not begin. If there is 1 unit in the building, construction will have its default time, and if there are 2 units or more, construction will go faster. We will also set up our release features for when the building finishes construction and for when the user wants to release units from a building. In addition to this, we'll also clean up the bug from last week that I failed to address. That said, fire up your editor and let's get started. Hey, and welcome back to the editor. So let's take care of that bug from last time where we spawn in a unit and the movement detail or movement icon doesn't show up. It actually does, it just shows up too quickly for us to see. This is a relatively easy fix. So if we go to our event graph, on our move to location or actor, we have removed the decal right when this is triggered. We need to set it when on move finished. So if you do that, spawn a unit in, the icon shows up. The bug we were getting is actually related to another error that I knew about and was going to resolve in another lesson, but we need to resolve it now because we have another bug that we need to address. And let me just show you what that is. We put a factory in, spawn this unit in. I'm going to send him to the factory, then I'm going to stop. That's fine. But now I want him standing in front of the factory, and he vanishes into the factory. So we need to address that, and to address that easily, we need to address some other stuff as well. So let's go into our unit movement, and we're going to highlight everything on this top that makes this if branch. We're going to just move it over here because we need a bit of room. We are going to break this for a second, and we're going to just repin that into the first branch. So the stop movement into the first branch. We're just going to move everything down. Or just that down, really. And now we need to add in another is valid statement. We need to clear out our building. So to do that, what we are going to do is we are going to come into the is valid. We are then going to put a reroute here. And we'll come out there if it is not valid. That way we can continue on. But, you know, this is only destroying the previous decal if it is valid. We need to do something similar for our character. We need to, or sorry, not for our character, but for our target building. So for this. And likewise, we'll need to do something similar for this down the road. We'll just save that for later. So let's grab from our unit control our selected unit. From there, let's find our target building. We don't want the function, we want the actual variable. We will need a bit more room, actually. Send that out a bit. And in here, what we're going to do is we're going to do pretty much what we just did over here. We're going to check, is target building valid? So is valid with the question mark, so we get the if statement built, sorry, before we get the branch built into it. And if it is, what we're going to do then is we are going to take our selected unit and we are going to set our target building. And we are going to set it to nothing. That way it becomes an empty variable. This is how we're clearing that variable out. Oh, this actually does take up more room than I thought it did. There we go. Plug that into there. And just straighten that out a tiny bit. Put another reroute in here. And we're going to come around and plug the is not valid into the other side of this set. There we go. That way we've cleared out that value. And we shouldn't get that error anymore. So let's test this out. Spawn a unit in, spawn a building in, move the unit to the building, stop, move it in front of the building. There we go. Move it back out here. And once more, send it into the building. There we go. Okay, so that takes care of those errors. Now, we need to take care of the fact that we can't release the units from the building, and we can't delete the building. So, let's clear out everything, save that, and, well, we can either take this step by step from inside of each of the various pieces. So what we're going to need to think about in terms of pieces are, not that HUD. We need to go to our widgets. We need our building info HUD. So we need to either take care of it from these release and delete buttons. We can take care of it from, we need to take care of items in our occupant field text, and we need to take care of items in our building master. In fact, everything's actually going to run out of the building master, so let's take care of that. We have two things we need to worry about. We need to release units at mass, and we need to release individual units. So, when that happens, we also need to update our unit list, which, you know, isn't as big of a problem as it might seem. In fact, we have most of that code already written for us. So, let's do the main sort of things we need to take care of. We need to release all occupants. And that's the easy one. So let's do that one first. So let's just create a units category inside our function list here and move our units in there. Let's do a construction category for our set construction time. There we go. And let's add a new function in, which will be release all occupants. All right. That's the description. Whoops. Sorry about that. Paste that into there. Move that into the units folder. And what we're going to do is we're going to do for each loop. And what we're going to have in this array is our occupant list. And we're going to move our occupant list to a units category again. Just put that into there. Put the selected unit into there as well. Alright, so for each of our occupants, we're going to go through and we are going to make the character visible. So set actor hidden in game, and the new hidden will be false, making it visible, saying it's no longer hidden. And then we will take from our array element, remember our array element is the individual unit, we will set target is hidden. So is hidden, and we're going to set it to false. The target is no longer hidden. Plug a couple reroutes in to make it more readable if it will let me. For the love of God, let me put those reroutes in. There we go. And finally, off our completed, we will have our lovely return node. Alright, so that takes care of release all of our units. We then need to release a single unit, and this one's a little bit more complicated. So what we're going to do for this is we are going to let's first create the function before I say what we're going to do. We're going to do release single occupant. I said units, I'm an occupant. And this will go under units. This one actually needs an input. It's only going to be triggered actually by this widget. Ooh, sorry about that. And we will put in a RTS unit master input that we will name unit. We are going to take this singular unit and we are going to do what we did earlier. We are going to set is hidden in game as false. We are going to reroute and go around this and do a is hidden, set is hidden from the boolean, set that to false, put a reroute into here before we even move it, and plug it into the end there. Now, you might remember me saying last week, we should not, and it's bad form, to iterate a loop, to edit a loop while you're iterating it. So you don't want to edit an array, said loop. You don't want to edit an array while you're going through it. We are going to do just that. And as I said last week, we're going to do this once, and then we're done. And here's where we're doing it. We're releasing a single unit. Once we find that unit, we are going to stop caring about anything else in the array because we are going to delete it right away. Now, typically, I thought a for loop with a break would work, and for some reason, it doesn't. So we're just going to do a for each loop. And what we're going to look for in this loop, just like we did last week, we looked for any unit that matched our units going into the building. We're just going to look for this one unit coming out of the building. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to do equal, put a reroute in over here, just make this a second pin, and drag that there, and we're going to search for that single unit. And if we find it, then we're going to remove that array element. So we're going to do a branch here. And actually, we're going to come over here. We're going to highlight all these reroutes, and we're going to just lower them a bit because we need a little bit of room. Come in here, put another reroute into our occupants list. Bring that back a tiny bit. And we're going to come over here, and we're going to do remove index. And I'm doing this intentionally to show you that I'm doing something that shouldn't be done. I'm reminding myself, hey, this is not typically good form. And when I go through it, I can see that I'm actually just doing this one removal. So I'm not going to break this array. I'm not going to break this loop like I would if I was continuing to look for anything else. And I'm just going to put a couple of reroutes in here so it's a bit easier to see what's going on. There we go. I hate the fact that the remove index and add unique don't line up properly. The next thing I want to do is I want to update the occupant list. Now you notice we didn't do that for the release all units. There's a reason for that. We tend to call that at different points, and at those different points we will have the updates put in. Here we only call this at one point, so we want it to do it there. And sometimes when we release all units, we don't need to update the list. We're going to delete the building or the widget or something else, so we don't always need it. For the single unit, yes, we do always need to update our list. So we are going to get a reference to our HUD. So take our building HUD, get it, and we will set occupant names. That is the wrong type. Let's try that again. Set occupant names. We don't have it on there. Context sensitive. Get the message version of it. Plug that into there. And let's just clean this up a bit. There we go. And our occupants will be the array going into there. And finally, we need that building HUD yet again. And we want to update occupant list. So when we release a single unit, this list will update. Okay, there we go. And the third function we need to create in here is the one that clears the worker list when we release all units. And again, we're doing this separately because, well, it isn't always going to happen when we release all units. Again, sometimes we are deleting the building, and thus the list doesn't need to be updated. So this will be our clear occupant list. Move this into our units. And we're going to come in here. We're going to grab our occupants right away. And we're going to do a simple clear. That was not the correct thing. Turn context sensitive back on. There you go. We're ready clear. Sorry, I thought I had context sensitive on, so I didn't pay attention to what I clicked. And we're going to, for a second, go back to our release single unit. Just grab all of this. Also, put a return in at the end there. So, copy all of that. Go to your clear occupant list. Fix your typo if you're like me and have an extra capital C for some reason there. There we go. Paste that on in and plug that into there. There you go. And then again, a return. Okay, so now that we've done that, we now have almost everything set up. The next bit we need to do is we need to actually trigger these events. So the first one we're going to do, if we go to our building info, is we'll do this release button here, which releases them at mass. This is honestly probably the easiest of the release buttons outside of the building finishing construction. So what this one is we're going to do an on clicked. If I have the right thing selected, which is the button, not the text in the button, we're going to have an on click, and on this click release button, we are going to get a reference to our building HUD. And we are going to, from this reference, we are going to trigger release all. Hang on, let's make sure that's saved. It did. Release all. Did I spell it wrong? No, I did not. All right. Building master BP. That is correct. Release all. Why am I getting only single occupant? Just making sure I spelled it correctly and retyping it in. Having a paranoid moment. Release all occupants. There we go. I'm not sure why that wasn't showing up. So, release all occupants. And then from there, we're going to put a reroute into here because we're going to use something else. We need to update our occupancy list. So, we will do clear occupant list. Plug that into there and just bring that up there. Okay, so we also have that delete button, and we probably want to take care of that as well. But there's a couple of things we're going to want to do with that. We'll do that one in a second. Let's also do our single release on here. So we aren't going to do the false because that will be our vehicle. We'll do that in the next section of this video. We are going to get a reference to our unit HUD, or building HUD, sorry. So here is our building HUD. From there, we can get a reference to our building itself. So get building ref. From our building ref, we will get our release single occupant. The unit that we're going to remove is our unit that we are currently viewing in this. Put that into there. Put a reroute there. And just bring this all up here. And remember, I said there was going to be a bug. And remember, I said it's going to relate to the fact we're doing this on the tick. So we're going to try both these releases real quick. Put a factory in. Spawn a unit in. Move the unit in. Spawn another unit in. Actually, spawn 2 more units in. Put those units in as well. I have... Okay, that was interesting. Right, I'm actually not sure what's causing that one. Just try that again, and I'll work out what that bug is in a minute. Alright, we're going to send 3 units in. Alright, there we go. Alright, you see we have our 3 units in there. We hit release, all 3 come out. Let's put them back in there. There we go. Sorry, since we were already inside the area, it wasn't going to release them. Now if we right click, it's going to release all 3, but it's not going to release them in the same way. In fact, if we put a break in right here, so at a breakpoint, and we do that again, spawn in a building, 3 units, move them in there, and we right click, we do next, we do resume. Sorry, give me 1 second, we just lost that window. it only releases 1. So it's coming off this tick that's the issue. It's actually part of the issue. So we're going to remove this breakpoint. The first thing we really need to do, just to make sure and to help us, is to set this bool back in as false. So let's just put this down here as a reminder. This needs to be false as well. And it's actually useful to have it up here on the onClicked, but it's also useful if we put one thing in here, which is a delay that skips a tick, or a couple of ticks actually, and we'll leave that delay a 0.2 in. So that delay just allows us to skip a tick. If we hit compile, hit play, put our factory in, spawn a couple of units in, send them in, there we go. Alright, why actually is that not working? We'll give us the error, by the way, again. So we can't read, we're getting a read none on the unit master deselect and the set visibility. Alright, we'll worry about that in a minute still. I will actually pause the end of the video, go back, and work out what's causing that before the end of this video. We got other things we need to take care of though. So that releases our units. We also need to release our units, assuming they're working on a building under construction, when the construction finishes. So we're going to do that actually before this set material. And in here, what we are going to do is we are going to first release all our occupants. Plug that into there. We are then going to clear our occupants list. And let's just make sure there's nothing else that we need to do. So we have set the building to being, true, it's built. We have removed we set it to false, that it's under construction. We release all our workers. We clear our occupants list. And that is all we need to do. I was thinking about something that I wanted to do later on, which actually occurs after we set the material. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we are going to take this bit here. Let me just highlight everything we're going to do, or we work with, and we're going to collapse this down to a function. And this function we are going to update so that our units impact upon construction. In fact, actually, we're going to update something on this as well, on this but we'll take care of that in a minute. Let's collapse this down to a function to begin with, which is construct building. There we go. I'll raise that up here. Close that gap up a bit. And we can close that gap up a bit too. And let's move this into our construction folder. And from there, what we are going to do is we are going to add in a pin here. We are going to get occupants. And in our occupancy list, we are going to get last index. We're going to move this over here a bit. And we're going to search, is it equal to or greater than 0? So in other words, is there something in this list or in this array? If there is, and the building is under construction and not built, then we're going to start construction. Move this up here, get rid of this breakpoint, and then put a return node in. All right. So we're going to just move that up there and move that there. We're also going to move all of this way. What's going to change is our game speed dependent upon the number of units in the building. And we're going to take our occupant list. We are going to get the length of it, which returns a integer. We're going to need a bit more room than I thought. I'm used to overestimating how much room we need. Now I'm underestimating. All right. And then we are going to do a float divided by float, which means that when we plug this in, we need to convert it over, which fortunately it does for us. And by the way, that's actually a form of casting right there. And then we're going to plug in that into there. And we're just going to, try to get this in there a bit more nicely. So what comes in, remember when we divide, we're making this number smaller. And the smaller this number is, the faster everything else is going to come out. In other words, it will jump from 1 to 2 faster than it would had this been a larger number. When we change our game speed by changing that button at the top of our clock, it speeds everything up this number gets smaller. All right. That should take care of this. Now ties our units directly to how fast our building is built. So if we put a building in, if you don't right click, now you can right click, you see it's not building, no one's in it. It's just going to stay that way. There we go. Now if we put a unit in there, actually let's pause this for 1 second. Let's spawn that building in, and spawn a building with 4 units nearby in. Put a factory there. And because we haven't paused the units, we can actually move them into the building before we reset the game clock. There we go. And you can see that both are still at 0. Oh, sorry. I have to close this up before we can open the other one up. Both are still at 0. This one will construct in about 15 minutes. This one will take the full hour or game hour. So at about 30 past, this will finish. At about 13 past, that will finish. Assuming I've done my mental math correctly. Which, as you all know, my mental math is sometimes piss poor. So this one should finish up, and there we are. And this one's still going, and it will be done in, after the hour. As you can see, it released the units. We open it up. We don't see the units in the list anymore. It doesn't say under construction anymore. So yes, that is still working in a nice little way. Our HUD there, that is. Let's move our units that way. Huh. Interesting. Let me test something. I'm just going to use this moment to look at. All right, so that is, that's part of that arrow. That's why I just saw there. The little decal was vanishing. I'm not actually entirely sure why that's happening. All right, so the next bit we need to take care of is if we delete the building. And I just want to see how far into our time we are. We are 27 minutes in. We are going to try to fly through part of this simply because you've done it a million times. So first things first, our delete is going to be related to our building info. As you know, we have this delete button here. It's also going to be related to our main HUD. I keep opening that one up because I keep saying HUD. They're really user interfaces or UMGs. And it's going to be related to, that's the wrong one, that's our main game HUD. And it's going to be related to our player controller when we do the main HUD. Okay, so first things first, we don't want this button visible if the place is already built. So we're going to go down to our visibility on the button. If I can find where that is, I am going to cheat and just type in visibility. All right, there we are. Behavior, visibility, bind, create binding. And we're going to name this as get construction visibility. This one will be fairly easy to take care of. What we're going to do is we're going to create a variable off of this. So we're going to backtrack off of this, and we're going to set as a local variable visibility local. All right. Just drag this out this way. And we're going to repeat some stuff you've seen me do here before. We're going to get this. We are going to just check, is the building built and is it not under construction? Sorry, is it building not built and is it under construction? So is built, get not equal to, sorry. We get not as in this is not a true thing, so not Boolean. And we're going to get is the under construction. You've seen similar steps before. So it shouldn't seem new to you, which is why I'm rushing through it. All right, next we are going to say we need both of these, either or. So or it's either not under construction or it's not built. We could also do an and if you want to be, we do an and for this version later on, oddly enough. I don't know why I like or here. I just feel better with the or. We're going to break that. We are going to put a branch in. Not sure where that was, but okay. And we're going to set visibility on both these branches. If this is true, if it is either not built or under construction, we want it visible. If, however, it is been built, then we do not want it visible. Actually, I don't know why I moved that. That should have been over here. So we're going to take this set visibility visibility local, and we are going to set it to false. or hidden. Sorry, not false. There we go. So let's just put in a building here. We can see the button. We have also skipped a step in demonstrating how this works. Let's go back to this window. Let's drag in a factory. Let's set it to is built. Let's hit play. And the button is gone. All right, we can delete this building and sorry, it'd actually help if I was not inside the editor still, or the preview still. There we go. We've deleted the old building. Now that we've done that, we need to set up an on-clicked event. So let's go back down here. We're going to do on-clicked. And this one, order really does matter, or you'll get errors saying, why are you asking me to do something for something that doesn't exist? So, in order, we are going to close the widget. So we're going to just call that close widget up there. And our close widget has all the other little parts in that we need, so we don't need to worry about all of this. We are then going to get a building reference, and we're going to do two things. First, the most important, this has to be first. The last bit that we do has to be last. We are going to release all occupants. We are not going to update the list because there is not going to be a HUD for the list to be in a second. We are deleting the building after all. And that's the last thing we're doing. We're destroying, so destroy actor. And in destroying the actor, the building goes away, the HUD goes away, the list goes away. We don't need to worry about that list anymore. Let's test this out. Let's put a factory here in. Let's delete it. Let's put a factory back in. Let's spawn 2 units in. Move them into the factory. Right. I have a rough idea what's happening, why they're re-showing like that. And they spawn out. Now, I'm going to get the error again where that is not visible because it's deleting that for some reason. And now I have to work out where it's deleting it at. Right. There we go. So now we've deleted it that way. The next way we are deleting it will be through a button down here. But first things to do is we have to go back in here. Get rid of unit movement for a second. And we are going to add in a new bool, which is in delete mode. Move this to my favorite little folder, a bool. There we go. And, well, easy part. Extend this out. Select their construction dialog box. Take that text there. Copy it and paste it into there. So we got silo twice, I realize. Where it says silo, change this a second time, change it to delete. And we can size this back down a tiny bit. This will become our delete button. And let's go into our on clicked. And in here, let's grab our player controller reference. Player controller, and we will do is in delete mode. We are going to set, and we're going to set this to true. Okay. Compile, save, go back to your player controller. This is where things get a bit messy. We first want to check. This is left click up here, and this is right click down there. We need to work with both. We're going to do the right click first, actually, because the right click's where I'm going to reset everything. If I don't want to delete a building, I'm in delete mode. I'm going to right click to get out of delete mode. You might want to do it in a different way. That's perfectly fine. It doesn't matter in which way you do this. Just make sure you know which button does what, so you don't screw it by accident in the middle of something else. All right, so on our right click, we check are we in building mode. But before we're in building mode, we want to know, are we in delete mode? It's actually really the first thing we want to know on the on is pressed. So that's our left click. Our right click is here. I was not paying attention. We're just going to drag this out because we're going to clean this up later on. We're going to get is our delete mode, and we're going to do a branch. So wondering why there was a released on the on that one. And if we are not in delete mode, let's just drag this up here. Then we are just going to continue on into everything else. If we are in delete mode, we are going to turn delete mode off. That's as simple as it's going to be for the right click. All right, next, let's go down to our left click where things get a bit more complicated. First, again, we're going to check on the is pressed. We are in delete mode, so let's add in a branch. And this actually will be our false. And all of this is just going to get moved over here. There we go. If we are in delete mode, then we want to delete the building. The first thing we are going to do is we need a pure function that will serve as our conditional statement. So let's create a pure function that will be check construction status. So check construction status. All right, this will be, as I said, a pure function. It will have one return output, which will be construction status, or actually we'll call it is under construction. That way we know the question we're asking. And in fact, that will be the name of the variable we're pulling to do this. So we are going to go into our hit results, and we're going to get our selectable enums from here. We're going to get it. We are going to get hit result. I'm not sure what hit result. Under cursor for objects, we are going to break this result, and you've seen me do this before. You've done it yourself before now, probably several times. Break hit result. We want to know what we've hit. So we're going to get hit actor. We're going to get class. We are going to check, is this a child of our building master? We need a fair amount of room here, actually. So class is child of, and it'll be RTS building master. Thank you for telling me you couldn't open that. That is the correct one. We'll do a branch. And go ahead and plug that into there. Just bring this all up here. Stop trying to open things. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to cast to this building. So we're going to cast to RTS building master. Put a reroute in and plug it into there. And we are going to set this variable. We have already a construction variable named building that we're just going to plug into here for our reference to it. And then we are going to get our building, and we are going to get is under construction. And we're going to grab this return node. Oops, sorry, I don't know why it zoomed out so much when I did that. I actually didn't hit the zoom out. And we're going to just plug the set into there. And we're going to take this value and check there. So we get a return of if we're under construction or not. Let's return back to our event graph. And now what we're going to do is we're going to have another branch. Let's put a reroute into here. And we are going to check our construction status. That's the wrong thing. Check construction status. It's a pure variable, so we just get that return value. We don't need a executable input. And if it is not under construction and we've left clicked on it, let's just turn off is in delete mode. So we'll set that to false here. But if it is in delete mode, then let's go up here and we're going to do a sequence of events. All right, so I am conscious of the fact we've now just hit about 40 minutes into the recording. So I will try to get through this as quickly as possible. And I do have to pause at the end to do that final check for you guys and let you know how to fix that one little bit. So we're going to do three things. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to need our building ref for twice to get this done properly. And I'm just going to drag it in twice. Is first we need to release the workers. We don't want them in there. So release all occupants. I'm just going to drag this up here. There we go. The second thing we are going to do is we are going to destroy the actor. Destroy actor. The third thing we are going to do, we'll actually do in a couple of videos. It has to do with the resources. If you have a building and you're costing resources for it, and you take them away when you start construction, you might want to return them if the building isn't completed. And then we're going to turn off is in delete mode yet again. As I said, we'll take care of this last one. This will be related to resources in a bit. You can put a note in there, a reroute pen and a note, like we did in an earlier video if you want. All right, let's test this with our factory. Put a factory in. Uh-oh. It's not letting me put a factory in. And it's not doing it because I skipped one small but very important step here. Let's just grab both of these. I forgot to tell it what to check here. Is in delete mode needs to be selected. There we go. Now we can place it in. Hit delete mode. Left click. Deletes. Let's put a factory in. Put a couple of units out. Send the units into the factory. And let's delete the factory. I right clicked. Left click. And there are units. Alright, I'm going to pause this real quick, yes I know, and address that error. Then I will be back, and I will tell you what we'll do in the next video. So give me a few minutes, and I'll see you guys shortly. Alright, so I'm in my RTS unit master. I didn't even need to pause the video. I literally just opened this and instantly saw the problem. In my rush to get this done last time, I grabbed the wrong thing. This is the icon. We're actually deleting the icon in that moment. What we need is our set deselection decal. Just plug that into there. Target is self, and it actually fixes the problem. There we go. We spawn in a building, put a couple of units in, move those over there. Boom. Release our units. Oh, they're both right there. Okay, they're just kind of standing together. And deselection icon's still there. All right, that said, in the next video, we will tie up some of the bits we need to do for our HUD with regards to taking resources from these buildings when we construct them, and popping up, sorry, I said HUD, and popping up on the HUD now insufficient resources when we try to build a building when we don't have the appropriate number of resources. That said, if there's anything you'd like to see in this series that I haven't covered, let me know and down in the comments below, and I'll try to include it, or at least tell you what you can do to bring that into your game. If you've liked this video, go ahead and hit that like button. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.